And we are live. Hello, ladies across the world. We have Cindy down there in Australia. You're at the bottom of the screen, so that's quite appropriate because you're down there in Australia. And across there, we have Sammy in the UK here. How are you both? You all right this morning?
Good, thank you. Good morning.
Great, thanks.
Well, this is what I've called our Thursday threesome today. because it's great because I have now been officially invited to join the Bloomz International Online Art Show next week, and I'm really excited about it. Up until now, I've just been reception man. I've been your Bosley, haven't I?
Yeah.
In reception, guiding people around. But I think I must have done a good enough job because I've been allocated my own room to show my art, my lamps. So, of course, this is all about this wonderful anniversary show of the Bloomz Arts House International Online Art Show next week. That's the 24th and 25th of September. That's the Friday at 7 p.m. and the Saturday at 10 a.m. and 7 p.m. And these are all, of course, UK time. So wherever you are in the world, work it out. We are GMT +1 at the moment, Sam, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, we change at the end of this month to confuse the whole world, of course. So the idea of these chats is that we just get to know some of the artists. And today we've got Sammy Hexter Andrews and the abstract artist, and we've got the animal watercolorist down in Australia. We have Cindy. So where do we start, girls? This is new to me. I've never done a threesome like this before. I mean, with artists. No. Can we forget that? I've never had a three-way talking to two other artists before. Normally when I do my Sunday Instagram, it's just me and another person. So you're going to have to try and shut me up a bit. But I think we'll start with Sammy then, because when I first learned about the Bloomz, when Steph and the other load of you started it up, my thoughts about art, I was very sort of pigeonholed with my art. I thought I knew what I liked, and abstract art, I'm sorry about this, was always on the periphery. I didn't really get it. And I found that was because people had never really explained their process when you see a piece of abstract art. And then, of course, I discovered you and your art and the way that you do it. And of course, now I'm a convert because of the way that you explain about your abstract art, the way that you write your stories. So when did it start for you then, doing this?
Oh my goodness. I've always been in love with abstract art because I love the way that it was so different, and you could see so many things in one painting. But it gave you the opportunity to, I suppose, like dream in that painting and fall into that painting.
It is very much like dreamscapes, aren't they? Because there's lots going on.
Yeah. So I've always had that passion around abstract art and looking at other artists and everything. But then for me, my process is very different to other abstract artists. It's like you say, I write beforehand. So I will write an essay before I even start painting. So in my essay, it will not only be the story about what I'm painting, but it'll be the materials I'm going to use. It's going to be the brushes or the knives, the size of the knives or the brushes that I'm going to use. Because I need to have it all laid out for me. And sometimes I do preliminary drawings and paintings beforehand, but it's not so tight that I don't have the freedom to move with the piece and for the art to lead me and where I'm going within that piece of work.
So do you know any other abstract artists that go about it the same way as you do, or is it
I don't.
unique to you? But it's certainly,
so.
as I said earlier, it certainly made me understand more about what I was looking at. And obviously, looking at your art now and understanding what you do enables me, when I see anybody's abstract art, to think about it and view it in a different way.
Yeah, I think it's for me and for my collectors, they like to have the essay with it. So they can have a better understanding of where I'm coming from. But it doesn't mean that then stops them having their own story behind the piece. It doesn't stop them looking at it and saying what they see. it's just another part to the piece that I'm delivering to them. So it gives them a bit more of me as the artist. So I'm giving them a bit more of myself.
Yeah, a lot of people
just the finished work.
They buy from the artist. They like to get to know the artist. I suppose it's the same with you, Cindy, isn't it? People get
Absolutely.
to know you as an artist, and they say, "Oh, that's a Cindy Porter piece over there," and they know the way you work.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the essays you write, they're not short, are they? I mean,
no, it can be.
Tolstoy's got nothing on you.
No, it can be reams, but what I send away with my artwork is a shortened version of it, so they don't have the complete work. I mean, like I say, it can go on forever, but I will give them a proceed version of that essay. Some clients ask to buy the preliminary drawings as well.
Oh, right.
So, I mean, that was down to you, Steve, actually, when you said, look at these preliminary drawings, what are you doing with them? And I said, well, I don't do anything with them.
Yeah.
But now I will show, when a buyer is buying a piece of work, I'll show them all the preliminary work, and they'll say, well, can I have that as well? And they'll buy that too.
Because that makes it almost 3D in effect, because they can see how it started and the process of building up, and they can read what you were writing about it. And
the whole journey.
Yeah, the whole journey. That's right. See why you used a knife. So what do you work in? What materials?
So I work mainly in acrylics, but I do mixed media. So at the moment I'm working on a piece which is with slate.
All right.
So it's all slate chippings, but I'm going to be mixing it in with a medium, so it will actually hold onto the canvas. And so a wide range of inks, oils, pastels, crayons, pencil, quite a wide range, because I don't want to be restricted. And some people say that, you know, when they look at my portfolio, they say, well, it looks like there's a couple of different artists there. And I sort of think, for me, that's my freedom. That's my style, is that I allow myself to have the freedom, rather than reproducing the same style of painting over and over again, just in different colors. So, for example, this piece behind me, that's it. That's one. There's never going to be another one.
Oh, every one of yours has got to be a one-off.
Yeah.
So I've got to ask where your inspiration for each piece comes. I mean, is it building up over a period of days, or something you've seen in the news, or just anything like, what can I do today?
Yeah, no, for my last series of work that I previewed in the June Bloomz show was actually my journal from 2020. So every month I wrote a journal and of everything that had happened that month of last year. And then I started painting from the extracts from my journal.
Wow. I bet that was difficult in some ways, wasn't it? Because a lot went on last year, you know, probably not, we didn't go anywhere, but there was a lot going on around the world. And
absolutely.
Quite, you know, intense things as well.
Absolutely. I mean, I have family in Australia. And so when the wildfires were happening there, it was, you know, it was very close to home, you know, so with the isolation, with the pandemic, and you know, all of that was in that work. But when you look at the work, some pieces, it's not all miserable.
No, there's sort of hope in there, and I think
so,
that's...
and then other areas I get my inspiration from is that I love to travel. So pre-COVID, I had a whole series on Paris. I had a whole series on my travels when I went around America. So yeah, I do take inspiration from what I'm actually involved in, rather than just thinking off the top of my head.
Because wasn't the Paris one where you did the architecture? Was that the...
Yeah.
That was, I think, the first one of yours that I saw that I really got, that I could understand when I read the piece about it. I could understand what you, and that's when I looked at more of your stuff, and then instantly it's as though you opened a door and, oh yes, of course, I get it now. I get it. I get what you're doing, and that. Yeah.
Yeah, I I love the way that you create your work, Sammy, with starting with the stories first, with the essay first, and working through that way. It's just it when I heard about that, it just made all your work so much more powerful for me. Like
thank you.
It was amazing. It's an amazing way to work.
Because art in general is a very powerful thing, isn't it? Art can make such a powerful statement because it's from the individual, and okay, it might only be a 2 foot square piece of canvas, but you can convey so much in there, and it can reduce people to tears or to joy. This is the thing with art, and that's what I've learned over the last year or two. Oh, a piece of wildlife just joined us. Is that Henry?
Stop him, jump up, and so what happens? He goes.
Yeah, you can't stop them. You can't stop them. He's very vocal, isn't he?
He is a very noisy boy, Henry.
Bless him.
You're going to be a good boy. Otherwise, you're going to get kicked out, mate.
Yeah. So what are you doing at the moment then, Sammy? What can we expect to see from you next week?
Next week, I don't have any new pieces finished because I'm building more on my collage work at the moment, so they take a bit of time. But I will be showing a selection of a couple of different series that I've done, so that'll be on my show reel.
Do you do commissions then for people as well?
I do commissions.
How does that work? I always thought with abstract, how do people commission an abstract piece?
Usually people go and look on my website first, and they see different styles, and straight away I tell them I do not reproduce a piece that I've already done in a different color to match your sofa. I don't do that.
I should match your sofa.
But what they do is they'll come to me and they'll say, I really like this piece of music. Can you paint that?
Oh, I see.
So I will listen to that piece of music over and over again. I will listen to other pieces of work by that same artist. I will, in one case, I actually printed off the manuscript and I painted on top of the manuscript, so it was in that piece.
Wow.
So yeah, there's.
Could you still see the notes behind it then in that?
Yeah.
Wow, that's good. I never thought about that, painting a piece of music. It just didn't. Yeah, resonate.
I mean, people will come to me with, they'll say, "This is what I like." And they'll tell me a scene, for example, of them being down at the coast. And I'll say, well, I don't do landscapes, but I can do something with your scene. So I'll always ask my clients, can I have a favorite piece of music, a favorite piece of poetry, or a favorite book? So I can go and get a sense of what they like. Who
they are, really.
Yeah. And then I will ask them if they have like 3 favorite colors. And like I say, it's not to match their furniture. It's just to find the essence of them, really. And that is what I'll weave into the piece. I do a preliminary drawing for them. But it's very different. A preliminary drawing is very different from the finished. But so far, everyone that's had a commission from me has given me the freedom, because that's what I need. I can't be restrained at all. I have to have that freedom for them to have something that they recognize as being mine.
So all those things you mentioned, their favorite piece of music, where they like to go, that really is the essence of them, as you said. And that's a great title for a painting, isn't it? The essence of them, It is, because all those things. And I would think the more, because we touched earlier on how it's the client that completes the story, isn't it? When you buy a piece of art, whatever the art is, you've got your ideas of what that's about, but they buy it and they complete the narrative. And I'm sure with your abstract work that they'll look at it one day and be able to recognize what you meant. And then a few days later, they'll all of a sudden see something else in there. Oh, that relates to the book that I told her I liked. And that relates.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it builds and builds and builds over a period of maybe weeks or months when they start looking at different things.
Well, you sort of hope that with your pieces, and I'm sure Cindy's the same, that they will have a lifetime of looking and loving that piece. Because the thing is, both Cindy and I, we can't paint what our clients have in their head. We can't do that. And so that's what we have to say to them. You know, we can only incorporate aspects that they've sort of requested, but requesting on a very loose basis.
Probably a good job, but you wouldn't want to paint what goes on in my head some days. It's just impossible. Chaos, Paint chaos, and you're almost there, depending on what. But of course, lighting as well has a big effect on paintings. I know another one of the Bloomz. Was it Julie, who does the encaustic wax? Her paintings look very different in a different light, depending on where the light reflects. And I'm sure it's just the same with both of you, isn't it?
Yeah, Fiona's work too. As well, with her gold leaf in particular.
Yeah, she's just started using gold leaf in hers, isn't she? Yeah.
That like the different lighting and the different times of day and everything just make the pieces look so different.
Yeah. A lot of people don't think about lighting when they're hanging a piece of art. They just put it in a corridor maybe and wonder. And then one day somebody will turn the light on, all of a sudden it sort of springs into life and you think, wow, maybe I do need to have a bit of lighting on that piece. Yeah. It's wow. Cindy, your stuff. Because I love animals. We just, Steph and I adore animals. Oh, that's my phone going. Oh,
there's always one.
That's
you know you have a do not disturb, right?
Oh, it's Chris Packham. Oh, you like Cindy's art as well? Oh, wonderful. Yeah, I'll tell. That's Chris Packham, the naturalist. He said he loves your art as well. Hello.
Excellent.
No, I mean, when I first saw your work, I thought, I'm sure LSD was something that was just in the 60s. Because the colours you use are, wow, they're not what one would expect, are they?
Not always, no. I tend to enjoy colour. I love animals, which I think is pretty obvious.
I think so, yeah.
Animals love me. Yeah, exactly. So, I do everything. Like I volunteer at the local zoo here, the whole lot. Okay, anything to be around animals all the time. So yeah, they are of course the one thing that I absolutely love painting all the time, and like I will paint them looking natural, like Jerry here. G'day, Jerry. The giraffe, but often after I've sketched them out and that I'll just be drawn to paint them in a color that comes to me. It's like that's the essence of that particular animal that I'm
on a particular day. So if you were to draw two tigers, if you were to paint two tigers on 2 different days, they could be 2 different colors.
Absolutely.
The tiger doesn't always have to be.
It depends on the tiger I'm painting a lot too. Because they're all very individual, just like people.
God, we could talk about this for hours because I just need to know how you get what comes to your head to say that's a green gorilla behind you. I mean, why?
You just feel it. You just feel it. It's just intuitive.
Wow.
It's completely intuitive. It just, yeah.
And the thing is, they shouldn't work, but they do. This is what I. When the koala, Petunia, isn't it? The koala this. Yeah, I even know the names. A pink koala, you just think, yeah, why not? It's just amazing. So obviously your inspiration comes from your daily life, isn't it? Living in Australia. Whereabouts in Australia are you?
I'm in Melbourne.
Which has now been christened Lockdown Melbourne. Because
I'm sure it has, because seriously, in the last year we have been in lockdown.
How many times?
Something like 6. This is our 6th full lockdown.
Wow.
Yeah, we're allowed 5Ks from our house to exercise for an hour a day.
Yeah, God, how has that affected you and both of you really in lockdown?
I don't know. I'm sort of used to it now. I don't like, there's only a couple of things that it really sort of get under the skin with lockdown for me. One is not being actually to make physical contact with my friends and go out to dinner with them, because I really miss that. And the second one is not being able to celebrate those occasions, you know, that you want to celebrate, anniversaries, you know, birthdays. So many of my friends have had big birthdays this year and have not been able to celebrate them at all. It's
when
just,
you can, it'll be one big bloody celebration for months on end.
Yeah.
But we know how you, Sammy, how the lockdown affected you. You kept your journal. Did you find you were painting more over lockdown, Cindy, or was it struggle sometimes?
I actually struggled more with lockdown getting anything done, which is crazy because I spend a lot of my time at home with my animals in my studio anyway. But when I have to stay home and be in my home all the time,
big difference, isn't
it? You know, it plays those mind games with you. Yeah.
Does message you when you can't go out, you want to go out, even if you didn't want to go out before. But if someone tells you can't go out today, Cindy, yeah. Looking at the body of work behind you, though, you've got such a variety of material there. And what do you work in? What materials do you work in? Is it watercolor? Just watercolor?
Mostly now, I pretty much do mostly watercolor. I still do some acrylics. These ones here are all acrylic. But yeah, all the rest are all watercolor. And yeah, the new ones that I've been doing recently are all watercolor as well. My one that I'm not quite finished for the show, which will be ready by the time the show comes.
So, I mean, I'm sorry if I'm asking another question, because I have no experience before this of the way that artists work. What determines whether you use a watercolor or acrylic? What makes your mind upon that? Is it the detail you need to put in, the way that you want it to look? No,
what I feel like on the day.
All right, okay,
pretty much.
Right. Good answer.
Like I said, I'm using watercolor pretty much all the time now. I haven't done any acrylic for a couple of months. I find the watercolor more challenging, which is probably why I've been doing that more. Well, watercolor you can't. Acrylic has advantages. Acrylic you can literally just put another layer over the top. So if you do something and you're not happy with how it looks or the shape of it or whatever, you can literally alter it very easily just by putting another layer over the top. You can't do that in watercolor.
Right.
Watercolor is done in layering of depth, but not changing. Like if you put a color that stains down, and a lot of colors do stain, you can't do anything about it. Like you can make that color deeper, but it's not like you can get rid of it.
Whereas with acrylic, you can just paint over it with a color. Right.
So like I can paint white acrylic over black if I've gone somewhere where I don't want too dark, no problem.
Okay.
But you can't do that in watercolor at all. So watercolor, I just finding it.
I always thought that
a bit more exciting.
Watercolor was an easier way of painting. I don't know why. I thought, oils and acrylic sounds.
I don't think so.
No. From what you just said, definitely not. No.
But it's a lot of fun.
Amazing stuff.
This is the voice from admin.
Voice of doom.
Hi, Steph.
Hiya. We've got 6 people chattering away on Facebook saying hi and everything. So I thought it was worth me coming on and just telling you.
Cool.
So we've got the Bloomz girls on, all saying how fabulous and hi to Henry, and also I think Shell is one of your collectors or friends.
Hi, Shell.
Yeah, she's saying hello to Henry and everybody else. Yeah, Shell Lang. But yeah, we've got Mac, we've got Fiona and Julie and Lisa.
Hello.
All saying hello and how fabulous, obviously, that your art is.
Yeah.
I am going to fire a question to Cindy, because you've put a new offering on your website, and it thrills me that you do this. and I want you to tell us about it, because you help people connect, don't you, with their soul. Right, tell us.
It's exciting. It makes me excited. Like the minute you started talking about it, I got all jittery. I recently trained this year to get certified in doing Akashic record readings, so that I can do Akashic record healings for people. And the way I've chosen to go forward with that is, apart from just offering those healing sessions, I actually am offering sessions where I will take somebody on a journey to connect with their spirit animal, and then do a painting of their spirit animal after the session. So it's really exciting and fun, and yeah, it makes me really giddy inside thinking about it. Basically,
It's fantastic. No, you light up when you talk about it.
Yeah, like I said, I get really excited when just thinking about it gets me excited. So it's
some people won't know what the Akashic records are, and I think Steve's one of those.
Yeah, I'm just thinking it fits so well with what you do with those animals around you. When you said that, it's almost as though they were all agreeing with you behind you.
They do. Trust me, they believe. They do.
Yeah.
So the Akashic records is basically every human soul is a soul within a being. This is my beliefs. Every human is a soul within a being, and we have an energy record of all of our past lives, our future lives, everything that has happened to us, everything that we have done, and everything. And all of that information is recorded energetically in the Akashic records. So you can actually go to the Akashic records and like review your records. So you can review your past lives, you can review your future, you can review all sorts of things. And it's a great way for people to gain healing that are having any issues or problems and things in their present being. Because they're, I don't know, give an example. One good example, the one animal that I'm absolutely terrified of is snakes. I am absolutely terrified of snakes. I am actually a lot better now than I was. I used to just see a photograph of a snake and I would start to freak out. That's how distressing they were to me. People used to make fun of me. It's so bad. And like friends like my friend Michelle will tell funny stories about things that have happened when a tiny little snake was near us and all sorts of things. Harmless, tiny little snake, but I still freaked out. And what I've been able to discover since learning how to read Akashic records and so on is that in a past life, I had a very traumatic incident involving snakes. And hence why in this life, even though I haven't really had, or I have had a couple of instances now at my age, but when I was younger, I was still paranoid, like completely frightened of snakes for no reason whatsoever. Like I had never come across a real snake or anything, but I was petrified. And this is, you know, I've been able to learn that it's from a previous lifetime and a trauma that had carried across. And like there are so many things like that in people's lives now that can be aided with, Akashic Records healing sessions and things like that. And then on the flip side of that, because as we know, I absolutely love animals and I'm just, animal crazy. I can use the same tools that I've learnt to guide people to meet their spirit animal, their power animals, because we have a whole team. It's not just necessarily one spirit animal that people have. Like And often the spirit animal can change over your lifetime as well. So like, you know, what your spirit animal was when you were 20 might not necessarily be the same spirit animal that you have today, and things like that. So I can, help guide you, and you can meet your spirit animal and connect you, and because they are there anyway. It's just a lot of people are not aware of them.
Love that. Love that.
I think that's why a lot of people seem to be drawn to particular animals. Maybe they
Yes.
really love, I don't know, cats or dogs or sloths or whatever. Maybe that's the connection. They don't realize it. Yeah.
Yep. There's all those sorts of things.
Which again, what you mentioned about the snakes would also explain why a lot of people grow up with this innate fear of spiders.
Yep.
And they understand
Exactly.
why.
Yep. All those sorts of things. And there's the same, like I personally haven't worked with anybody, but there's people that I've been told about that have had really innate fear of water. And couldn't learn to swim or anything like that. And like one particular case that I was told about in a previous life, her and her young toddler child were drowned in a tsunami.
Oh, right.
And this was the basis of the fear. And the thing is, once the fear is brought to the forefront, then you can address it. It's not such a big deal. Like I said, I used to be afraid of like even a photograph of snakes, whereas now I can see snakes and everything. I'm not going to go touch one or anything yet. I'm not quite that far, but I don't have that same like white as a sheet freak out reaction that I used to have. So yeah. There's all of that.
Will we see a snake on a canvas with you anytime soon?
I probably won't do one unless somebody asks, like commissions one, because I don't think they're ever going to be my favorite animal.
that would be a real test for you, yeah. But
but I could do it if it was commissioned, no problem now. Whereas once upon a time, I could not.
Couldn't have done that before, could you? Yeah,
that's right. Absolutely not.
So amazing. So, what have you got in store for the Bloomz next week then? For the Bloomz show,
I have a couple of new pieces that will definitely be finished and ready. Hopefully more, but who knows? It just depends how it goes. Nope. Going to be a big surprise for all those coming.
Come along, folks.
Keep it under my hat.
Yeah. Have you got all those old frames to burn in your Barbie on the nights? We always joke that Cindy has a Barbie in her studio with
she has such a big party.
Oh, they do it
in her room.
I am putting out the word to all the Aussies watching. Saturday night, 7 p.m. Make sure get yourself in there. I want to have, since it's our first anniversary, I want to have the biggest get together in my studio that night. So come on, Aussies, let's do it.
There's no problem there because you'd go. Aussies would go to the opening of an envelope, I think, wouldn't they? Yeah. As long as there's a Foster's there. As long as there's a Foster's there and a bit of beef on the Barbie. Yeah. Yeah. No, brilliant.
So
Brilliant.
Steve, after a whole year of you badgering us to let you have your own room,
I haven't badgered any.
I've got a stack of letters that you've sent to me, written in crayon, saying, "Please let me come in."
Crayon.
So, what will you be showing in your room?
Well, I feel a bit of a fraud, really, because I'm not really on the same scale as some of you guys. Because you just amaze me with your art, but my art is obviously very different, and I didn't start calling myself an artist until probably just over 12 months ago, during the first period of lockdown, when lockdown was very strange because I was making lamps before then, but not really thinking of it as being something that I would do carrying on and really build. And it was only when we couldn't do shows. Let me take you back to when it started. It started when my partner Steph, who you just heard on the Voice of God there, she is a fiber sculpture, a brilliant fiber sculpture, and she was doing shows and wanted some lighting on her stand, so I made a couple of book lamps just because it was a bit of an interesting light rather than put up just spotlights. And at the end of the show, somebody said, "Oh, can I buy the book lamps?" So I thought, oh, great, fine. And I started to think, well, I quite enjoyed making them. So I then looked around to see what other ways of making lamps, because I really got into the idea of doing it. And I came upon the fact that, yes, I could get old vintage items and upcycle and repurpose, which I do, old telephone bell boxes, blow torches, things like that. But then I wanted to do something a bit different. And I found the galvanized pipe fittings, the iron galvanized pipe fittings that I remember from my granddad's shed. He used to have a box you pulled out. There's all these old pipe fittings I used to play with when I was little. And I thought, well, you can still get them. And the reason you can still get them in the UK is because, and in other countries, but a lot of countries don't use them, but we use them over here specifically because we have English Heritage, National Trust, listed buildings, and all those, when they do any work on the water mains or gas mains, they have to use the original pipe work. They can't replace it with copper or push fit plastic. So the pipe fittings are available. But very few people seem to be doing what I call character lamps in this country. So I started to do a few using quite big pipe fittings, 3/4 inch pipe fittings. And my first lamps were quite large, and I was pretty pleased with them. Because you are when you do a first of anything. I'm sure the first paintings you girls did you were really proud of it. I was proud of my first lamps. And gradually, I was sort of refining them, but nothing too detailed until lockdown. And in lockdown, when we couldn't go and do the shows around the country, we decided to clear our kitchen out here and set up our stand. And whenever we were going to do, we should have been doing a show around the country, we would do a live show in our kitchen. And from then, I started to develop my lamps, and they got more and more detailed, more and more, because I'm a bit of a pedant. I'm a publisher by trade now, although I'm a horticulturalist years ago, but publisher, so the English language is what I do on a daily basis, and picking out grammatical errors in people's work and everything. But that's transposed over into what I do in my art, is that now I spend hours trying to get the leg of a lamp. If it's the cat behind me here, you see the cat there, to get those legs looking like a cat took me ages. And somebody would say, well, it looks okay, leave it. But there's no it'll do in my dictionary. It'll do just doesn't. So my lamps have got more and more detailed over the last 12 months, really. And then I started, you probably don't know, but I do commissions for people. What are you laughing at? It's a standing joke, this, because
It is.
it's a standing joke, because at shows, because now I don't share a stand with Steph at a show.
You've never mentioned that before.
Have I not? Well. I must start talking about it. Basically, at shows now, I used to be a cuckoo in Steph's nest and sort of have a little bit of her stand, and I kept sort of getting more and more lamps onto the stand. And in the end, I think she was happy when I said, look, should we have 2 stands? Yes, yeah, have 2 bloody stands. Have your own stand. So we're side by side at a show. I've got my wacky lamp stand with this backdrop behind me. And it looks great because we sort of share the stand, but we've got our own little space. And that gave me the freedom then to start building lamps that were a bit more specialized, because I knew I had a room to display them. And when I have a conversation, because I get quite chatty with the people that come on the stand, as you can imagine, and I have to watch out the corner of my eye where Steph is. If she's talking to anybody, that's fine, because if she's not talking to somebody, if she's stabbing away doing her needle felting, and I'm talking to a potential customer, and I say the words, oh, by the way, I do commissions, she will turn around and go like that. And I just have to, it just cracks me up. So it's become a standing joke. But basically, yes, I do commissions, and that is important because the lamps that I have on display just gives a flavour at shows of what I can do. Very few people seem to want to buy that particular lamp, but they can see the potential. They say, well, my husband's into cricket. I see you've got a footballer lamp there. Could you do a cricketer? If I send you a picture of him playing cricket when he was 20 or 30, and I will take that photograph and I will try and make a lamp to match that photograph. And it could be that it's a particular stance that they were in. And I'm only dealing with 3 angles, straight, 90 degrees, 45 degrees. So I'm going to try and get those pipe fittings to make into that looking like a character. And it's become such a joy for me now doing it, because I found that pretty well everything is possible if you put your mind to it. I've done 3 Muhammad Ali lamps because he was my sporting hero, and his 3 most famous fights against Sonny Liston, George Foreman, and Joe Frazier. I've done a lamp to represent each of those 3 fights, the punch that took the opponent down, and I got that in a little perspex frame that the customer will get with the lamp, so they can see the photograph that the lamp is based photograph that the lamp is based on. And I can only do that now that I'm pretty confident that I can match it up, because that's a big statement to make. Well, here's the photograph and here's the lamp, and someone said, well, it's bugger all like it, but now it does, that I'm pretty confident. So yeah, so I'm really enjoying it now. I say it's come as a complete surprise, the reaction that I get to them, because it's just, I have the joy. For me, okay, I mean, this is going to sound pretentious, but it's not about the selling. It is in a way, isn't it? It always is. But it's the joy I get from doing them, and people, saying, wow. And a lot of them are touch sensor, so you can touch. This one here is my, it's called Together Forever. People have bought this for weddings and anniversaries and that, and it's a touch sensor lamp. So you just touch anywhere on the lamp and you get 3 levels of brightness. And that's something that I've moved on to now, so I can incorporate that into most of my lamps. So yeah, it's just great how it's all developed. And
I think with all our work, the joy that we have in creating, that's what our collectors then see. They can actually physically see that, whether it's in a sculpture, whether it's in a painting, they can actually see that joy within that piece of artwork. And I know that you did, Steve, you've done a couple of 4 musicians.
Yes.
And they've been absolutely over the moon with those pieces.
Yeah.
Because you, like Cindy, have been able to capture the essence of that musician.
Yeah, and I don't know how I mean, like, you don't know how you could do your colours, Cindy. I don't know how I get from a pile of pipes to Angus Young from AC/DC with his little schoolboy cap on, hopping along with his Gibson SG guitar. I've got that photograph that I was given, and I made the lamp to match. And obviously, Steph made the little cloth cap, his little schoolboy cap. But it did actually look like him. And someone said, how did you do that? And I thought, well, I don't really know. I'm sat in my workshop. Yeah, I suppose it is intuitive. I'm sat in the workshop. I've always got music on of some sort, or a podcast on, or an audio book. And it just seems to come. And I get an idea. And I don't know if it's time we do, when you get an idea, you have to do something about it straight away. Yeah. If I have to go down to the workshop and I'll go down just to do something else, and I'll think, I'll just get that pipe fitting out the box there. Before I know it, I've assembled something. And Steph knows what I'm doing. She doesn't come and bother me and say, well, you're only going to be 5 minutes. Been down there 3.5 bloody hours. But it doesn't matter, because at that moment I had to do it, because
I did suggest to Steph that after 3 days, she ought to check that you're still breathing.
Yeah, she just kicked me like she normally does. And if I go, ouch, she knows that I'm still breathing. That's basic.
But with your ideas, I don't know if you guys are the same. I've actually got a notebook by the side of my bed. And like 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, I'll wake up and I'll start writing. And then I'll go back to sleep. And then when I properly wake up in the morning, I'll look and think, well, what was that about? And then it'll suddenly click into place.
Yeah. I mean, my memory is not so good as it used to be. So I always use the Notes app on the iPhone, and I'll do something. And then, as you say, you look back at it and you think, what was that about? I don't remember writing that. And then all of a sudden it'll click. Yeah. Because at the last show that we did, somebody said, I mean, people always say, oh, what you should make is so-and-so lamp. And you think, yeah, that's, whatever. But somebody, 2 or 3 people said to me that they would have bought a lamp of someone sat with a game console for their sons or daughters.
Yeah.
And I thought, yeah. So I haven't got them here. I managed to find on eBay some little like 2-inch game console handsets that bleep, just the perfect size to make a lamp around. So with someone sat forward, looking intense with the bulb for the head again. So I might do that for the next show, the end of October. So yeah, you get inspiration from things around you. What I'm going to launch, I'm doing a Black Lives Matter lamp as well, which would be going to be nice to have on the stand at the show, because I think that people would have bought that. That was talked about at the last show we did. It depends on what's in vogue at the moment, what's going on in the world. But you're right, Sammy, musicians. I mentioned Angus Young. There's a lady that contacted me from Texas, and her husband is in Texas. He's quite a famous country singer called Michael Dooley. And she'd ordered a guitar lamp off somebody on the American equivalent of Etsy, whatever, and it never arrived and the company didn't exist. It was a scam. She'd paid this money, and she happened to see my Instagram and got in touch and said, is there any way you can do me a guitar lamp for Michael for his anniversary or whatever? It was his big birthday, I think. And I said, well, send me a photograph of him. And a photograph of him sat on his stool on stage with his guitar resting on his knee and his hand in the air like this, And so I managed to do that pose, which she wasn't expecting. And on the guitar strap, I impressed his name on the leather of the guitar strap. So little things like that. It's always nice to under promise and over deliver sometimes, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but no, I get great fun out of it, and I can't wait to see people on next weekend, because I'll be in reception as well. So I've been double booked, as it were.
So you have your 2 people.
But yeah, well, I'll have my room with my show reel running. So people can go into my room at the show, as they can with yours, and talk to you two, see your show reel, chat to you. They'll have to come back out into reception and chat to me. But I'm sure that they can come and talk to me.
I think it's just going to be such a fabulous show. Our first year anniversary is really something to celebrate, considering how us as a group got together through the lockdown, because
that's what was amazing. I mean, I've obviously watched it grow from you meeting on an online Sell Your Art online course to now being a real force to be reckoned with.
Absolutely.
And also being able to show people your art in your own studios live around the world. I don't know of any other online art show that does that.
I have never, in all my 53 years, I have never felt such a connection with such a fabulous group of artists to be actually say, happy birthday, you're my friend, and it is that closeness, and we are a collective, and we are a support network as artists for each other. But over this year, I can say, as friends, we are that's what we started as a collective, to bounce ideas off at, to be able to speak to someone, because we all work solo in our studios. And so it's so lovely that we've been able to come together. And I just hope lots of people come along to our anniversary event, because it's going to be really good. And the after show party on Saturday night, I'm very much looking forward to.
Yes. What was lovely, I saw there was, I think it was one of Julia's friends put a little video testimonial recently, which sort of spoke volumes for the fact that she came along being complete technophobe, never been on Zoom before, didn't know what to expect. She'd heard that somebody had stayed for 3 hours and thought, that's not going to happen. I'm going to have a quick look. And she stayed for 3 hours as well, and was amazed at how easy it was to travel from room to room. And she said it felt like she was in Australia. She was in Canada. She was in Italy. She was actually there in the studio talking to the artist. How many times can you visit an art gallery when there's an exhibition on and the artist is there, and you can't really get the same feel? Not when you've got your paints around you, your canvases around you, you're maybe halfway through a piece of work, and you've got one-to-one chatting with that artist in their studio. You don't get that anywhere else.
No, I mean, even when you go to preview nights and the artist is there, all you get is a quick, hi, really love your work, and then you're shoved along so the next person can come along.
Exactly.
This way, you actually get to discuss the work, but if you don't want to discuss it, that's fine. Just watch the show reel, just enjoy the event. It's like going to a gallery and going into different areas of that gallery, but you've got that personal touch with the artist actually being there, which is lovely.
And it's without the pretension and without the warm Prosecco and that smelly cheese. You get little bits of cheese on sticks.
Yeah. My Prosecco will be ice cold, but I can't share it. So it's a BYO.
BYO, yes. Definitely BYO.
So the times again, let's just go over the times again, because I have to remind myself, it's 10 a.m. on Friday the 24th. No, it's not. 7 p.m. 7 p.m. on Friday the 24th, 10 a.m. and 7 p.m. on Saturday the 25th. And that is GMT +1. That is UK time. And I know we say this and people don't think about it. You will spend longer there than you think. It's no good thinking, I just nip into the Bloomz show for half an hour, because you'll won't get to see more than maybe one or two artists, and B, you'll be disappointed, especially if it's the last show of the weekend. So allow yourselves, if you're listening to this thinking, I might pop along to them, go on to the bloomz.co.uk. There's a place there where you can hit, and it says tickets. It couldn't be simpler to book your tickets, and they are the huge price of £0, but you have to register, because otherwise you don't get your link to join. And you will see sorry, go on, Cindy.
No, I was just saying that's right. Yeah, people need to understand the tickets are free, but they do need to register so that they can get sent that link to join us during the show hours. And I would like to just point out that for all the Aussies, you can either come 4 a.m. Saturday morning, 7 p.m. Saturday night, or 4 a.m. Sunday morning. So I hope to see you all 7 p.m. Saturday night.
The times don't mention for us is that they don't time. One thing I must say, which was hilarious, was the first Bloomz show we did. Being in reception, people come in and they put their videos on, and I say hello to them, and I can remember the video came up on the screen, and it was looking up at this big bearded trucker who was, hello there, can you put me into Cindy's room, please? And it was your husband, wasn't it?
It was.
And it was brilliant. It was, so whether you're chucking across Queensland in a big 18-wheeler, whether you're in bed and don't want to put your video on, it's up to you. We're not going to. You don't have to put your video on, as long as you can chat to us. Or you could be making the tea, you could be sat with your feet up, you could be doing anything. But what you want to do is to log on to the bloomz.co.uk, book your tickets, get that link, and then tell your friends, even if it's the last minute and you've been in for half an hour, just text your friends and say, you want to come to this show? It's fantastic.
There's no other show like it at all.
There's not. And there won't be because there's no other group like the Bloomz.
Exactly.
And I am thrilled to be an invited guest for this one. If I play my cards right, I might get invited back in the future. Who knows?
If you're a good boy.
Yeah, I was going to say, as long as you behave yourself.
I might be invited back then. It's been great. Thank you, girls. I loved it this morning. Thank you. Well, this evening for you, Cindy. Thank you very much for letting me hop onto your conversation this morning and have a bit of a chin wag with you both.
No worries.
For joining us.
Good. Well, I think we'll all say goodbye. So it's good night from him, and it's good night from me. So
bye.
See you next week at the Bloomz Show. Bye.